It is a dream job for any designer. Create a wedding dress for royalty. Elizabeth Emanuel knows all about doing just that. She and her former husband, David, shot to stardom in 1981 after making Princess Diana's wedding gown. When I was in London recently, I had a chance to ask Elizabeth about the stress of the commission and the buzz surrounding what Kate Middleton will wear on her wedding day. Probably nobody knows better about all the lead up to a royal wedding in terms of the design of the dress than you, since you did Diana's dress. How do you think the trends have changed such that you might have an idea as to what we might see in terms of trends?
It's very difficult to predict because we don't know actually who the designer is, and if we did, we'd know what kind of things that they sort of normally do. It might be a designer that does sort of very over-the-top theatrical stuff, or it might be somebody that does very classic. So really difficult to predict. I'm pretty sure it's not going to look like Diana's dress, though, because that was so much part of the 80s.
Yes.
You know, that probably anything like that is going to not sit well in 2011. But so I think it's sort of open because there's no rules, there's no regulations, there's nothing that says it has to be a certain colour or a certain anything.
So how do you get to the point, and in your case where Diana came in, and so young and said, this is, you know, kind of what we're looking for. Well, I guess the black dress came first. And then with the wedding dress, how do you find something that she likes, that you like, that you can do that will make that statement that you're going for?
Well, normally it's like a process with any bride. We do sketches. We took her along the rail of all the samples, because that's always really good. A bride should just try on lots of different styles to see which kind of thing makes her feel happy. And Diana liked one particular style, which was what we used as a template, really.
Okay.
And it had the big sleeves and the little waist and everything, so it was just one of our regular samples. So we decided we'll use that, and but we'll sort of work on it, we'll put embroidery on it and lace and all sorts of things.
And
so,
how many times did she have to come to visit, to try on, to check?
Oh, there was quite a number of fittings because she lost a lot of weight, so we had to keep changing the pattern. And then our final fitting was in Buckingham Palace because we'd never really seen the dress with the train extended because it was so long it wouldn't fit in our showroom. So we had to go to Buckingham Palace.
So when you think about how the secret was kept, because it was in that case,
yes,
and so far it's been kept in this case too, you know what the designer would have to go through. Is it nerve-wracking, thinking that, you know, it's up to you, they want to make sure that you don't let anybody know?
Well, it's kind of stressful because, and I should think even more so now, because, you know, when we did Diana's dress, there wasn't Twitter or even the internet or anything. But nowadays you've got mobile phones with the cameras and everything else. So, you know, it's a real challenge, and that's probably one of the reasons why it's being kept secret, because it would be a nightmare for any designer to have to concentrate on what they're doing, knowing that everybody's camped outside and, you know, using high-tech equipment to find out what they are up to. So it is a pressure.
What did you do with the dress when it was being made, when you would close the door at night and go home?
Well, we wanted to take a lot of precautions, obviously, and security was a big issue. So every night we locked it up in a big metal cabinet, and we had security guards there. We just wanted to make sure, you know, that it was safe, because there was just so many people trying to find out what it was going to look like.
In your case, you were young in the business, and so there was an explosion of publicity as a result of Diana's dress. Well, we're not sure who's going to do Kate's dress. Even if they're more established than you were at that time, how do you ever prepare for the publicity that'll follow?
Well, it's really difficult. It was very hard for us because we were young and inexperienced. So whoever's going to be doing it now, I'm sure they'll have learned a lot from that, and they'll you know, have a team behind them, and preferably a business team as well, because, you know, they're designers, and, you know, it's right that they should sort of, and probably, I mean, I don't even know who they are, but like us, we studied for a long time to become designers, and we thought, wow, this is fantastic, we're going to get to design all sorts of things, and hopefully, and I'm sure they will as well, because they'll be the most famous designer on the planet.
How did they find you? How did she find you?
Well, we had lent something to Vogue magazine, and it was actually used for Diana's engagement shots, so she liked it and asked who designed it, and so she came to see us as a result.
And did you have an idea? Well, you knew who she was.
We knew who she was, but I'd made the appointment and got her name wrong, so when she turned up, I was very surprised.
So what about her sense of style that we've seen in the early days? Well, we've gotten a glimpse of it anyway, Kate's sense of style, compared to what Diana's sense of style was then.
Well, Diana at that time wasn't really interested in fashion, so what was interesting with Diana is that you could see a transformation, and that was very exciting, you know, sort of the ultimate makeover in a way. She started off 19 years old, nursery school teacher, and she used to wear little skirts and pearls, and it was all quite Sloane Ranger kind of a look. And then when she started with us, she used to love our clothes, so we would put her in things that we thought she would like. And as the years went by, she evolved her own very, very strong sense of style. And that's the difference, I think, with Kate is a bit older, and, you know, she's worked in fashion, and she knows what suits her, and she's already developed her sense of style. There's so much anticipation of what she's going to wear. I think everyone's going to have to be content to wait, and that is the big thing for any bride. They all want it has to be secret and a big surprise on the day. So I'm sure it's not going to be like anything that anybody's ever thought it's going to look like.